Imagine having a sharp mind, clear thoughts, and still freezing when it's time to speak. You know what you want to say, but the words don't come out right. Your voice drops, your confidence slips, and later you replay the conversation thinking, I could have said that so much better. This video is not about motivational talk, fake confidence, or memorizing fancy sentences. This is about fixing the real problem, how your brain thinks, how your mouth responds, and why communication feels hard even when you're intelligent. Most people believe good communication is a talent. You either have it or you don't. That belief is completely wrong. Communication is a skill governed by logic, psychology, and practice, and like any skill, it follows a system. In this video, I'll break down that system step by step. You'll understand why people freeze while speaking, why confidence disappears under pressure, and how to rebuild your communication ability from the ground up. Without acting, without pretending, and without changing who you are. If you've ever felt ignored in conversations, misunderstood despite good ideas, or judged as less confident than you actually are, this video is for you. Stay till the end, because once you understand how communication really works, you'll stop forcing confidence, and start speaking with natural control and clarity. Communication is a skill, not a talent. Let's get one thing brutally clear from the start. Communication is not a God-gifted talent, not genetics, not born confidence. That's a myth people use to feel comfortable about not improving. Communication is a trainable, upgradable skill, just like gym muscles or coding logic. If you can think, you can communicate. If you can communicate poorly today, that simply means your system is untrained, not broken. And the good news? Skills respond insanely well to deliberate practice, not motivation speeches. Most people fail at communication because they misunderstand the problem. They think communication means speaking English fluently, or using heavy vocabulary, or talking nonstop. Wrong. Communication is about clarity of thought first, words second. If your thoughts are messy, your speech will be messy. If your thoughts are sharp, your words will naturally align. That's why people with average English but clear thinking sound confident, while people with fancy words often sound confusing. So before we even touch speaking techniques, body language, or vocabulary, step 1 is fixing your thinking pipeline. Here's the scientific reality. Your brain speaks faster than your mouth. When thoughts are unstructured, your mouth freezes, you stutter, you say, actually, you know. This is not fear, it's cognitive overload. Your brain is trying to process too many ideas at once. Communication training is basically learning how to slow your thinking, organize it, and then deliver it cleanly. That's it. No magic, no superstition, no confidence hacks. In this series, we're going to build your communication skill step by step, like assembling a machine. First thinking clarity, then sentence structure, then delivery, then confidence, then persuasion. No fluff, no fake positivity, pure logic, practice, and repetition. If you follow the process, improvement is guaranteed, because skills don't care about your mood. They only care about input and practice. For now, lock this belief into your brain. You're not bad at communication, you're just untrained. And anything untrained can be trained. Fix your thinking before you fix your speaking. Most people try to improve communication by jumping straight into speaking more, joining groups, memorizing lines, or copying confident speakers. That's like trying to drive faster with a broken engine. The real bottleneck is not your mouth, it's your thinking speed and structure. If your thoughts are chaotic, your words will always lag, no matter how much English you know. So step 2 is non-negotiable. Learn to think in clean blocks. Here's how the brain actually works. When someone asks you a question, your brain doesn't search for words first, it searches for ideas. If multiple ideas arrive at once, your brain panics. That panic shows up as pauses, fillers, nervous laughter, or silence. So the goal is simple: reduce mental noise. You do that by training your brain to think in one idea at a time, not 5. Great communicators aren't fast thinkers, they're linear thinkers. Start using a mental structure for everything you say. The simplest and most powerful one is this: point, reason. Example: 1 point, 1 reason, 1 example, then stop. This structure alone can fix 60% of communication problems. When someone asks you anything, introduce yourself, explain a concept, give an opinion, force your brain into this order. At first it will feel slow and unnatural. That's good. Slowness means control. Speed comes later automatically. Another critical habit: stop trying to sound impressive. The brain hates pressure. The moment you think, I must speak well, your brain switches from thinking mode to performance mode, and performance mode kills clarity. Instead, aim for understandable, not impressive. Simple sentences beat complex ones every single time. Communication is not about proving intelligence, it's about transferring information with minimum loss. Daily practice matters here. Take any random topic, your day, a movie, a news headline, and explain it out loud using only 3 sentences. Not more. This constraint forces your brain to organize thoughts instead of dumping them. Over time, your thinking becomes sharper automatically, and speaking becomes smoother without effort. That's how real improvement happens, quietly, systematically. Remember this rule: clear thinking creates confident speaking, not the other way around. Fix the source, not the symptom. Train your mouth to obey your brain. Now that thinking is getting structured, the next bottleneck is execution. This is where most people feel stuck. I know what I want to say, but it doesn't come out right. That's not a confidence issue. That's a muscle memory problem. Speaking is a physical activity. Your tongue, jaw, lips, and breathing system need training just like hands need training for typing or playing an instrument. Here's the science. When you don't speak regularly and consciously, your brain-mouth connection stays weak. The brain sends a signal, but the mouth responds late or inaccurately. That delay shows up as stuttering, repeating words, or losing your sentence halfway through. The fix is not more thinking, it's controlled speaking practice. Slow, deliberate, boring practice. No shortcuts. Start with slow speech training. Most people speak too fast when they're nervous, which ironically makes them sound less confident. Practice speaking at 70% of your normal speed. It will feel awkward at first, but this gives your brain enough time to stay ahead of your mouth. Confidence is basically your brain staying in control of the conversation. Speed steals that control. Next, train sentence completion. A common bad habit is starting sentences without knowing how they'll end. This causes mid-sentence collapse. Before speaking, silently visualize the end of your sentence. Just the ending, not the whole thing. This tiny habit massively improves fluency because your brain has a target to move toward instead of wandering blindly. Another powerful drill: read 1 paragraph out loud daily, but with intent. Not like reading in school. Read as if you're explaining it to a real person. Focus on pauses, emphasis, and clarity. This trains rhythm and tone, which are more important than accent or vocabulary. People don't remember exact words, they remember how clear and calm you sounded. And drop this insecurity right now. You don't need a perfect voice. A clear voice beats a stylish voice. A controlled voice beats a loud one. The goal is command over your speech, not entertainment. Once your mouth starts cooperating with your brain, half your communication fear dies automatically. So far, we've fixed thinking and execution. Next comes the silent killer, or booster, of communication: body language and presence, even in casual conversations. Body language talks before you do. Here's an uncomfortable truth most people ignore: you're being judged before you speak a single word. Not spiritually, not emotionally, biologically. The human brain evolved to scan posture, movement, eye direction, and stillness to decide whether someone is confident, unsure, dominant, or submissive. Communication doesn't start with your mouth, it starts with your body broadcasting signals. Let's be practical. Weak posture sends a weak message, even if your words are solid. Slouched shoulders, shifting feet, fidgeting hands. These tell the listener, don't fully trust what I'm saying. Strong communicators don't move much. Stillness equals control. You don't need to act like a statue, but unnecessary movement kills authority. Practice standing or sitting with a straight spine, relaxed shoulders, and grounded feet. This posture literally improves oxygen flow and reduces anxiety signals in the brain. Eye contact is another misunderstood tool. You don't need to stare like a robot. The rule is simple. Hold eye contact while making your main point, then break it naturally. This creates emphasis. People who avoid eye contact while speaking their key idea subconsciously weaken their own message. Your eyes should support your words, not escape from them. Hand gestures should be intentional, not emotional leaks. Random hand movements are often anxiety escaping the body. Instead, use hands only to underline structure, counting points, highlighting size, or emphasizing contrast. Fewer gestures with clear timing look far more confident than constant movement. Remember, calm body equals calm mind. Even breathing matters. Shallow chest breathing creates tension and rushed speech. Slow nasal breathing from the diaphragm stabilizes your voice and pace. Before speaking, take one quiet breath. That half-second pause makes you look thoughtful, not slow. People respect pauses because pauses signal control. Here's the key idea. Body language is not about acting confident, it's about removing signals of insecurity. You don't need to add anything extra. Just stop leaking nervous energy. Once your body aligns with your thoughts, people will listen more, even if your words stay simple. Next, we'll attack the biggest fear directly: speaking to people and handling pressure without freezing. Kill the fear of speaking by understanding it. Most people think they're scared of speaking. That's inaccurate. You're not afraid of speaking, you're afraid of judgment. And even more specifically, you're afraid of imagined judgment. Your brain predicts a social threat that usually doesn't exist. From an evolutionary angle, this made sense thousands of years ago. Today, it's just outdated software running in a modern environment. Fear shows up when the brain detects uncertainty plus importance. Speaking feels important, and outcomes feel uncertain, so your nervous system goes into alert mode. Heart rate increases, mouth dries, thoughts scatter. This is not weakness, it's biology. The mistake is fighting fear instead of retraining your response to it. Here's the rational reframe. No one is analyzing you as deeply as you think. People are mostly busy managing their own thoughts, insecurities, and distractions. Even when you mess up, the brain of the listener moves on in seconds. The fear feels massive inside your head, but externally, it's barely noticeable. Once you truly accept this, pressure drops instantly. The fastest way to kill speaking fear is exposure with control. Not throwing yourself into random crowds, but structured exposure. Start by speaking more in low-stakes environments, asking questions, explaining simple things, giving opinions even when not asked. The goal is not to impress, it's to normalize your voice being heard. Repetition rewires the fear circuit faster than motivation ever will. Another killer habit. Stop replaying conversations in your head. Overanalysis trains anxiety, not improvement. After you speak, mentally move on. If there's a lesson, extract it once and drop it. Constant self-criticism tells your brain that speaking is dangerous, which strengthens fear over time. Also, don't aim for zero nervousness. That's unrealistic. Aim for functional nervousness, a slightly elevated state that keeps you alert but not frozen. Even great speakers feel it. The difference is they've trained their system not to interpret it as danger. Fear fades when your brain sees proof. Every time you speak and survive, fear loses credibility. Over time, it stops showing up at all. Next, we'll move into how to sound confident even when you're not fully confident yet. A practical upgrade, not fake acting. Sound confident before you fully become confident. Confidence is often misunderstood as a feeling. It's not. Confidence is a signal, and signals can be controlled before emotions catch up. You don't need to feel confident to sound confident. In fact, sounding confident is what eventually creates the feeling. The brain learns from behavior, not affirmations. The first lever is tone. Most unconfident speakers end sentences with an upward tone, turning statements into questions. This subconsciously asks for approval. Drop your tone slightly at the end of sentences. It signals certainty. This single change can instantly upgrade how your speech is perceived, even if the content stays the same. Second is pace control. Nervous people rush. Confident speakers pause. Strategic pauses before and after important points make you sound deliberate. Silence is not awkward when it's intentional. It gives weight to your words and gives your brain time to stay ahead. Remember, whoever controls the pace controls the conversation. Third is word economy. Cut fillers like, actually, basically, I think, maybe, when they're not necessary. These words weaken statements. Instead of, I think this might be a good idea, say, this is a good idea because. You're not lying, you're removing unnecessary doubt. Precision sounds confident by default. Another underrated tool. Own your space verbally. Don't apologize for speaking unless you've actually done something wrong. Phrases like, sorry to say, or, this might be stupid, sabotage your credibility before you even start. Speak as if your contribution deserves airtime, because it does. Here's the paradox. Acting confident is not fake when it's based on skill building. You're not pretending, you're practicing the behavior of someone confident. Over time, your nervous system adapts and the behavior becomes natural. That's how identity changes, through repetition, not motivation. Up next, we'll talk about listening, the most ignored yet most powerful communication skill that instantly makes people respect you. Listening is a power move, not passivity. Most people think communication is about talking more. That's amateur thinking. Real communicators know this. The best speakers are elite listeners. Listening is not silence, it's information gathering. And information is power. When you listen properly, you control the direction, depth, and outcome of conversations without dominating them. Here's why listening boosts your communication instantly. When you listen, you reduce pressure on yourself to perform. Your brain relaxes, processes better, and responds more accurately. At the same time, the other person feels heard, and humans naturally like people who make them feel heard. This is basic psychology, not charisma magic. Active listening has 3 layers. First, attention. No phone, no planning your reply while they speak. Second, confirmation. Short responses like, I see, that makes sense, or paraphrasing their point shows engagement. Third, direction. Ask one focused follow-up question that deepens the conversation. This makes you look intelligent without talking much. A powerful habit is reflective speaking. Instead of jumping to your opinion, briefly restate what the other person said in your own words. This clarifies understanding and builds trust. People feel respected when they know they've been understood correctly. Respect increases influence automatically. Also, listening improves your speaking content. You start using the other person's words, concerns, and priorities in your response. This makes your communication relevant, not generic. Relevance beats fluency every time. A simple response that directly addresses someone's concern sounds smarter than a fluent response that misses the point. Silence during listening is not weakness. It's processing. High-level communicators are comfortable with silence because they're thinking, not panicking. That calm transfers to the other person. Conversations slow down, clarity improves, and respect increases. Next, we'll sharpen communication into persuasion. How to express ideas so people actually agree, not just hear you. Persuasion is logic plus timing, not manipulation. Persuasion has a bad reputation because people confuse it with manipulation. Manipulation hides intent. Persuasion explains intent clearly. If your idea makes sense and you communicate it at the right moment, people naturally lean in. No tricks. No emotional drama, just structured reasoning delivered at the right time. The core rule of persuasion is simple. People don't resist logic, they resist being forced. The moment you push too hard, the brain activates defense mode. So instead of telling people what to think, guide them to the conclusion. Ask questions that make them arrive there themselves. Conclusions feel stronger when the listener believes they discovered them. Structure matters here. Use this sequence. Problem. Consequence. Solution. First, highlight the issue in neutral language. Then explain what happens if it continues. Only then offer your solution. If you jump straight to solutions, people resist. The brain needs context before acceptance. Timing is equally critical. Don't persuade when emotions are high, yours or theirs. Emotional brains don't process logic well. Wait for calm moments. Even in debates or discussions, slow the pace before making your key point. That pause creates cognitive space for acceptance. Also, drop the need to win. When your goal is understanding rather than dominance, your tone softens and your logic sharpens. Ironically, this makes you more persuasive. People don't like being defeated, they like being convinced. Use examples and analogies. The brain loves patterns. Abstract ideas become acceptable when they're connected to familiar experiences. This isn't storytelling fluff, it's how human cognition works. Up next, we'll focus on daily habits and routines that permanently lock in strong communication skills without burnout. Daily habits that permanently upgrade your communication. Big improvements don't come from occasional motivation, they come from boring, repeatable systems. Communication is no different. You don't need hours per day. You need consistency with intention. Small habits, done daily, rewire how you think, speak, and respond without you even noticing. First habit: daily verbal output. Speak out loud every single day, even if you're alone. Explain something, your plan, a concept you learned, a random idea, in 2 to 3 minutes. No phone, no script. This keeps your brain-mouth connection active. Silence kills fluency. Speech maintains it. Second habit: input quality control. What you consume shapes how you speak. Reduce junk content that's fast, shallow, and chaotic. Increase content where people speak clearly, logically, and calmly. Interviews, long-form discussions, lectures. Your brain subconsciously copies sentence rhythm, structure, and tone. This is neural mirroring, not inspiration. Third habit: self-correction without self-hate. After conversations, pick just one thing to improve next time. Not 10. 1. Maybe slower pace. Maybe clearer structure. Improvement compounds when feedback is focused. Harsh self-judgment blocks learning. Precise correction accelerates it. Fourth habit: ask better questions. Questions sharpen communication faster than statements. They force you to listen, think, and respond with relevance. Make it a habit to ask at least one thoughtful question in conversations. This instantly raises your perceived intelligence and engagement level. Last habit: simplify your language. Challenge yourself to explain complex things in simple words. This trains clarity, not dumbing down. The smartest communicators are those who can compress complexity without losing meaning. These habits don't feel dramatic, but they're lethal over time. After a few weeks, people will notice changes before you do. That's when you know the system is working. Next, we'll close this with the final mindset shift that separates average communicators from powerful ones. The final shift: communication is responsibility, not performance. Here's the last upgrade, and it's the most important one. Stop seeing communication as performance. See it as responsibility. Performance mindset asks, how'd I look? Responsibility mindset asks, did they understand? That single shift changes everything: tone, pace, clarity, confidence. When you treat communication as performance, you become self-centered without realizing it. You worry about accent, mistakes, judgment, reactions. Your brain turns inward, and clarity dies. But when you treat communication as responsibility, your focus moves outward. You start adjusting your words, examples, and speed for the listener. Anxiety drops because your attention is no longer on yourself. Strong communicators don't try to sound smart. They try to be useful. They care about transferring understanding accurately. That's why their speech feels grounded and calm. They're not chasing validation, they're delivering value. And value naturally earns respect. Accept this truth: you will never speak perfectly. And you don't need to. Perfection is irrelevant in real communication. What matters is intentional clarity. If someone understands your message and can act on it, you succeeded, even with mistakes. From today, measure your communication with one metric only: did my message land? If yes, you're improving. If not, adjust and try again. No drama, no ego, just iteration. Communication is not about being fearless. It's about being clear despite fear. And clarity is a skill you now know how to build, step by step, logically, permanently. That's the complete framework. Now the only thing left is execution. Start speaking, start refining, and let results do the talking.